Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of week 7. I'm sure that you are all just mentally exhausted from all of the stress surrounding a test, the midterm test. It's a big one, and it's not easy. I think that the great majority of students did fairly well on the exam. Over the next few days, I will be doing an analysis of the exams. I have 3 cohorts that took the exam, so I analyze them individually to determine where the deficits were, and any question where greater than 50% of the course or the students missed, if there are any of those, I examine the question for validity. Now, I can see from looking over the exam briefly that the majority of the errors occurred with the developmental screening process. And that's a difficult one. It's a lot of information to know, a lot of detail, and you may just not have remembered that specific piece of information that the question was asking. So I will delve into that a little deeper and get back to you within the next few days to give you some more information regarding test results. Now this week you are beginning week 7, and with week 7 overview, we're going to discuss a little bit about that. We start with our weekly devotion, so please take a moment to go to the SGCS blog for your weekly inspiration. The topic this week is going to be diabetes. And diabetes, you typically think of type 1 diabetes as a childhood diabetes. However, you can find cases diagnosed in their 20s or even early 30s. However rare, it can occur. You often think of type 2 diabetes as being the older person's diabetes. However, we're seeing more and more children actually being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and we believe that this is directly related to poor dietary habits and sedentary lifestyle. We know that type 1 diabetes is greatest in non-Hispanic white youth, followed by Hispanics and African Americans, and lowest among American Indians and Asian Pacific Islanders. Type 2 diabetes among those aged 10 to 19 is highest among American Indians, followed by African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Pacific Islanders. The lowest is non-Hispanic whites. Now, the objectives of this week are listed here, and your readings are as follows. Now, I told you that the clinical round discussion is going to be different from here forward. So your clinical round discussion is no longer a group project. These are individual submissions, and you are going to be presenting cases that you are taking care of in the clinic. Now, I am going to give you an example of what I'm looking for. And I have found, I do this in all the courses that I teach, and I find that students often say that they find this to be one of the most beneficial pieces of the entire course. You're going to discuss a patient, and in doing so, you need to do a focused assessment. So, I know that you're writing these elaborate SOAP notes for your clinical instructors. You don't need to be so elaborate. However, we do need a focused note of the patient's exam. And then you are going to describe the assessment, the differential diagnoses, and then you are going to explain that diagnosis to us. And I'm going to give you an example so you'll know exactly what I'm looking for. I don't want cases that are multiplied. I learned this the hard way. One course, when I announced this project, I had 7 people choose the same topic. And I can't have that happening because it's not a good learning experience. So what I am going to ask of you is that you must look to see what your peers have posted. Unfortunately, if one of your peers has posted the topic that you were going to touch base on, you're going to have to choose another topic. So it's kind of a first come, first serve. This needs to be completed by Wednesday at midnight. Then you have up until Sunday at midnight to make those response posts. So this week you're going to be getting a couple pieces of me. So be on the lookout for added communication. I'm going to be discussing the statistics of the exams, and also you're going to be getting an example post of what I'm expecting for these discussion postings from here on out. So have a good evening, and I'll see you in the posts.